Phase 2 of throwing is opening the clay body. If you would like to learn how to center clay, watch the previous video. You want to position yourself very close to the wheel head. You take your arms and you put them at a 90-degree angle, resting them on your hips. On a smaller mound of clay, you can open it using just your thumbs. But this is such a large piece of clay, it's about 10 pounds. I actually need to use my whole hand. So I'm going to use my fist and knuckles to press down and start the opening process. As you can see, I'm supporting my arm with my left hand to help keep me steady. All along the way, I'm also using my sponge to compress the top or the rim of the clay to help it stay solid and not turn to slip. So a little bit at a time, I'm pushing down in the center using my hands like a drill. I'm letting the wheel head travel all the way around at least once or twice as I keep drilling down. Because this clay is so large, you can see I'm having to use both of my hands to push with all my might to get it to open. I also am using my sponge because I have long fingernails, and when centering, I usually cause issues with my fingernails scraping on the clay. So I like to use my sponge. It does wreak havoc on sponges. You'll go through a lot of them. But I'm also getting my sponge wet often because of the friction on the wheel head. What I'm doing here is I'm using my needle tool and my finger, and I'm measuring how deep the clay is by sticking the needle tool down and marking it with my finger. It looks like I have a ways to go still. I started by filling the hole with some water and pressing down to compress it and not create any air pockets. I'm pressing down with all my might, and I do have my wheel speed rather fast. Not quite full speed, but fairly high speed for the opening process. When you're first starting out, you might want to slow down your wheel a little bit. So I'm using my sponge to help smooth out the bottom. Here in a minute, I'm going to stop and check how deep the bottom needs to be. The base of your piece needs to match the width of the sidewalls. That's what you're trying to do. And you want to measure about 1/4 of an inch or so of space of clay at the bottom. So then you will trim it to make it be more even. So since this is such a large piece of clay, I'm making a huge bowl out of this. I actually need to keep the clay at the bottom fairly thick to support how huge this bowl is going to be. So I'm leaving the bottom a little over 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch thick. I'll have a lot of trimming to do and a lot of waste on this particular bowl. Because it's so large, I want to make sure that I leave enough support down there. Whenever I move a lot of clay when centering, I need to take the time and compress the bottom so I don't create any air pockets. And what you saw real fast was I took a second measurement to see if I'm getting down to the bottom. It's a lot of clay, so it's taking a while. All along the way, I'm trying to be careful not to throw the entire piece off center. As you can see, it's getting a little wobbly, so I use my hands to get it back into center before moving the piece anymore. So I'm going to use my right and my left hand to compress the top of the piece, even out the sides. I'm also going to slow my wheel down so I have more control, and I've smoothed out the bottom. So I've opened this piece up pretty wide just because this is a lot of clay. I'm making a nice wide bowl. The next step is moving up the sides. Thanks for watching.